I just wanted to get on and talk a little bit about navigating through a crisis of a TBI. So, when it happens to you and people in your family, it's like being unprepared in the most magnificent way. And you're just trying to keep your head above water and navigate through the crisis. One thing I can recommend during it is to have your closest people that are going to encourage you and speak life over your loved one and you, and just be helpful, and ones that are going to offer to help you in any way you need it. They were asking, everybody wants to help, and it's really, you're like, just pray. We were fortunate enough that we were both retired, so we didn't have to be anywhere. So I was fortunate enough that my one sister took the dog. That's all we had here. So I really just kind of had to keep up with laundry. Nobody was in the house, so wasn't like I had to clean all the time or anything. Ran home to do showers, and I slept at home. We were fortunate enough that the hospital here, where Nathan was located, would let us stay in the ICU 24/7. What I didn't know at the time, I knew how serious Nathan's injury was. It's a DAI. Can't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's the most severe brain injury that you can have, aside from being straight out declared brain dead. For the most part, when an ICU unit gets a patient with that type of a brain injury like Nathan had, they know that their odds are greatly in the favor of them just passing away. So it's almost like just waiting for that to happen. That may be part of the reason why our hospital allowed us to be there 24/7. We were very respectful of being quiet and not causing any problems. And we did have a couple nurses that we requested not to have them again, a couple night nurses. But 45 days that we were in the ICU and the step down unit, we really only had like three nurses that we had a problem with. So that's quite a few shifts. It's nearly 100 shifts of nurses. So that's a pretty good ratio, I think. But we were there in the middle of the night, and we did a lot of things with them that we could do. Obviously, when he's in the ICU, you can't really do much. But back to the point of when it happens, you want to do your best to get those people quickly around you that can truly help you. I had a friend ask me what she could do, and I said, to be honest with you, I really need my linen pants ironed. I don't really have the time to iron them. And I had asked another friend, and she's like, yeah, I don't do ironing. And so I'm like, okay, then, just keep praying. But this friend, she was a newer friend that I worked with. She goes, you know what? I don't do ironing well, and it's not my thing, but I'll come do it. And she came to my house and ironed like 12 pairs of my pants. That really helped me. They were the most comfortable pants that I owned at the time, and I could layer and all that stuff in the cold hospital. So it really, I mean, just that alone meant the world to me. I think for people who are not going through that, if you know someone who's going through it, just be open to do maybe something hard that you don't really care to do, and know that it's going to mean the world to that person. My pastor had preached many times before about his wife was in a bad accident, mountain biking accident, and she nearly lost her life. She had a lot of body injuries. She didn't have a brain injury, but she had a lot of body injuries, and she was out for a long, long time. Punctured lung, broken ribs, like a lot of really bad stuff. And I remember him preaching about how there's times where you're going to need people, and they're going to do things for you, and you're never going to be able to repay them. The beauty of the body of Christ. So whether it's your blood relatives or your friends, we just all, need to be helpful in those situations and give, not expecting anything in return, because at some point in your life, you're probably going to need that return to you. So always be open and willing to do things that aren't easy or fun or your forte. Um, as a side note, my friend that was like, I don't iron, she made us so many meals and we were so thankful. She was showing up easily once a week with the most delicious meals. So that was so helpful because we would always have my sisters and other friends and family around. And we always, it was nice to have a nice home cooked meal every night. So that was amazing, among many, many others that did meals. My biggest thing I would say for when you find yourself in a situation, so it doesn't even necessarily have to be a traumatic brain injury, but any kind of serious medical injury, I would say first and foremost, just surrender it all to God. Um, I was already there. I talked to you about that before. And, my husband took a few days to get to where he released it fully to God, and that God gave him that peace, that overwhelming peace that you can't explain, you can't describe, but he's just got you. I mean, I can't describe it any other way than the best hug and comfort you've ever gotten from your parent, but only better. Just lean into God more than ever, and do your best when all those. If you're really analytical, which I'm not, but probably I would say more people than not are more analytical. Lots of questions, want the answers. Since this is something, and many medical issues are things that we don't have the answers to, and we don't know how it's going to end. Even with us still now, we don't know where Nathan's finish point is. I mean, he has the capability to heal the rest of his life, actually. So we're very thankful for that. But you know, our biggest concern right now is if he'll be able to live on his own and take care of himself, and that's quite a concern as a parent of a 23-year-old tomorrow. So I would say to do your best that when all those questions and doubts and fears creep in, just start praying. Praying, give it to God constantly, over and over and over. Because if you're not giving it to God, you're holding on to it, and you're wanting that control, and somehow like I can fix it, or I that need to know. We have so many things in our life that we're never going to have the answers to until we see God in heaven. So he has reasons for all the things that we go through. I mean, he has reasons that we might not ever know, as far as he could be working in so many other lives through your trials. The way that people see you walk through that, it can change lives. We've had many lives changed because of us walking through this. And there's nothing about this that I can take any credit for, other than I was in prayer at the time of the accident, and I was seeking God as best I knew how. I was seeking Him desperately for my son. I think just the biggest thing is if you're not there at the time of a crisis, if you haven't been digging in to prayer with God, read your Bible so that He can speak to you, I would say do it now, and don't think that it's too late, or I got to be at a certain point before I can present myself to God, because He meets you right where you're at. He says that He's closest to the brokenhearted. So, and it's true. Just hang in there and do your best. Seek people that you can find who've gone through, in terms of a TBI, who've gone through that. They understand it. They've walked through it. I'm eternally grateful that God put the Rogans in our life when He did. It was by no accident, for sure, that they walked through that before us in terms of our situation. So God used them and worked through them, and we just will forever be friends with the Rogan family, and forever thankful for them and for their willingness to go through a traumatic time with us, even though they just were um, out of the woods with their daughter. And it's traumatic to speak with people who are going through it, because you kind of start, it puts you right back like you know how a song or smells can take you right back to a moment in time in your life, and whether it's good or bad. This this is true with the TBI community, that when you talk to others, it and they start speaking about what they're going through, it takes you right back, all the alerts and monitors and things that you're watching like every second of every day, 24 hours, hoping that the pressure doesn't get too high in the brain, and the breathing's correct, and the blood pressure and stuff like that. Like all that stuff comes back, and you're right there. So just know that no matter what the world is telling you, doctors, maybe some people that you know, we had one person in particular we know that basically gave up on Nathan and thought it was a lost cause, and actually vocalized it to our friend. And I'm sure there's people, some other people maybe, that had stopped and seen Nathan and thought it was hopeless. But more than not, what we've heard from our friends after stopping, whether it was like in a prayer group, we would have, we had friends, close friends, that would organize a prayer group every Saturday through social media. We put it out. Whoever wanted to show up would show up, and those were just so good for our hearts and souls. And sometimes we had 20, 30 in the beginning, and then we'd have as little as 4, which was still amazing. Just know, when you going through that, if you continue to seek God and just be open to everyone who wants to pray with you, pray over you, anoint your son, daughter, mother, sister, whoever, brother, father, be open to that, because I believe God puts it upon many hearts. But what I was saying was, we had friends that more than not, when they would either come and pray in the prayer group with us or come see Nathan, they said when they left, they were confident that God was going to heal Nathan. And they say was because of our peace about it. They would come and they would be heavy hearted because of the situation, and then they would leave um, lifted up. So I believe that's just God working in and through faith of believers. So probably not only our faith, but others' faith. And it is, faith is contagious, and it is something that you can't replace with anything else. So God gave us joy. We talk about happiness a lot, but happiness is fleeting, because we can be happy one minute and sad the next. But joy is something that I believe only God can give, that true joy. When we're seeking God and we're settled in our relationship with God, He brings us joy, no matter what. In the storm, I know we did a lot of giggling and um, laughing and lightheartedness, sometimes heavy. There was crying for sure, but I believe that there were so many more people touched by how we walked through that. And I'm gonna try and do as many videos with as many people as I can, to talk about how us walking through this affected them and or changed them. Some might be real quick, some might be more lengthy, but we certainly have at least um, 10 that I can think of off the top of my head that have really been impacted by our walk through this, and it's really made a difference in their life. And I know there's probably hundreds, if not in the thousands, of people that watched us walk through this and was very invested and still follow us. That word of mouth, and that they are forever changed through watching this miracle. So I'm hoping it's blessing you and helping you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I love getting questions, and I love sharing all the information that we have. We have a lot of good resources and things. I'll probably write down some stuff and do a podcast on just different therapies and things that you can look into, depending on where you are in the country, for specific TBI injuries. But thanks a lot.